EA Sports WRC has been quite some years in the making, but first a quick thank you to the EA Creator Network for providing this copy for me to review. Although Codemasters go way back to the days of Amiga, with Micro Machines being a firm favourite, it was arguably with the original Colin McRae Rally on PlayStation that they really made a name for themselves. Eventually morphing into the Dirt series and spanning a total of 14 games, you can see why they're saying that this is a WRC game built from the dirt up. As an evolution of the sim-oriented Dirt Rally 2, this is the culmination of over 25 years of experience with the rally genre. If like me you're more of a circuit racer, it can be unforgiving at times. There's no doubt that those slippery loose surfaces and undulating bumps come with something of a learning curve if you want to drive quickly and keep the car in one piece. It's certainly not unapproachable though, and a series of lessons at the rally school will introduce concepts and techniques that are needed to handle the 500 horsepower turbo hybrid WRC beasts. There's no need to start right at the top, and the career mode lets you either dive straight into the WRC cars or begin with the less powerful WRC 2 and WRC Junior cars to work up from. There's also a host of other cars and classes like the 1960s Works Mini Cooper and the legendary Group B cars to enjoy across custom championships and the seasonal moments that offer real and fictional scenarios from rally history. Regulation rallies offer a change of pace, with the target being a specific average speed instead of going flat out, but if you do want to be tested, the online leaderboards and competitive events will show exactly how fast you are, or aren't, as the case may be. The good news though is that even though it is rewarding to build up on the speed, you don't technically have to be that fast to enjoy the photo mode. The photo mode in WRC can be found by entering any post-event replay and pressing the square button. That does mean that if you skip the replay, then you miss any opportunity to shoot that last run, but does at least remove any distraction to grab photos while driving. Once open, the photo mode initially uses an orbital camera that rotates around the car, but another press of square switches to a free camera that can be repositioned and aimed in any direction. The range extends maybe 25 or 30 meters, which is enough to explore dynamic shots of the car along with the 90-degree roll, but does fall short of those wide frame dust trails that the replays often tease. To access the rest of the available settings, you just need to hit the Options button to bring up the 3 user interface tabs. Note that this does disable camera movement, so it helps to set up a quick composition to work with first. The main tab includes the essential camera controls, including a moderate zoom to adjust the field of view, aperture f-stop values to control depth of field, and manual focus. You'll also find a handy thirds grid, the option to adjust the shape of the defocus bokeh to match different aperture shapes, and a visualization of the camera's precise plane of focus. That last one is worth paying attention to because the WRC photo mode also features shutter speed, making it possible to generate varying amounts of motion blur from a stationary camera or by tracking the car, which is where accurate focus is critical. Essentially, the visible depth of field is deeper than you might expect, even at the widest apertures, and the motion blur relies only on the precise plane of focus. So what can look like perfect focus on the front of a car may not actually be when things start moving. The focus plane visualization helps here, and is what you should rely on to keep the car as sharp as possible at longer shutter speeds. Just don't forget to turn it off before pressing R2 to render the motion, otherwise it'll be baked into the shot permanently. Jumping onto the next tab, a selection of edits and effects are available to make some alterations to the image. Again though, this has to be done before applying motion blur for it to take effect. The 21 colour filters are quite attractive and actually useful, especially thanks to their variable intensity, which means that even the single colour filters can be softened to use as a mild tonal adjustment. Contrast and saturation work just as you may expect, but the exposure setting is largely ineffective. This is a shame and leaves you with very little control over how much light there is in the scene, especially given that this photo mode unfortunately hasn't been treated to the custom spotlight that we saw previously in Dirt 5. Chromatic aberration, film grain and vignette round off the image effects with some optional camera flaws, and a handful of stylish frames and borders can be found in the final tab. This is also where you'll need to come to find toggles for the on-screen stage information and the WRC logo. and although I totally get their purpose, I do wish that these were disabled by default. Don't sleep on the very last setting though. It's titled Dirt and will cover the nice and clean car with various amounts of dust and crud from the road surface. I'm just a little sad that it wasn't stylized as dirt. Photographing EA Sports WRC is inevitably going to be all about the rally cars, and although it is possible to turn the camera around and take in more of the scenery, don't expect this to be a particular strength. That doesn't stop the various locations from being excellent settings though, with each providing a different feel as you rally through Chilean mountains, the Kenyan savannah, and Swedish forests over gravel, dust and snow. As for the cars themselves, there are 10 current machines to try across the WRC, WRC2 and the junior classes, plus another 68 iconic vehicles that cover the last 60 years of rally. Models are detailed enough for close-ups and will suffer realistic and in some cases even drastic damage over the course of a stage. The inclusion of shutter speed and motion blur are also great things to have here and make all the difference when creating a sense of speed, totally transforming an otherwise static shot into something much more dynamic. The only downside is that it does seem to cause a small downgrade in quality on the car itself, with loss of some finer details and more visible aliasing. Despite that, the game remains a great opportunity to capture shots of rally cars from across the eras doing what they do best. Plus, with the novel car builder system, it's even possible to construct and design a bespoke one of your own. EA Sports WRC is everything you'd expect from a studio with deep expertise, not only in making rally games, but also with in-game photography tools, and is excellent both to play and to photograph. The inclusion of shutter speed and the resulting motion blur is undoubtedly the prize feature, and although it's unfortunate that this comes with a slight cost to image quality, this is still a photo mode worth getting dirty for.